Welcome back to the Cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is once again running into this important line of resistance as major liquidity is building on this Bitcoin chart, which we need to pay attention to, while the price of Solana is now forming a new price pattern, getting extremely close to breaking from this pattern, while the price of XRP is now potentially confirming a new warning signal in the short term, while Chainlink is once again rejecting from key resistance in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and technically speaking, the price of Bitcoin is still within this bull market, the larger bullish trend on the weekly time frame, because we've not yet confirmed any significant lower highs or lower lows, which technically means we're still within a larger bullish trend, also known as a bull market. And if we're taking a look at this 4-day Bitcoin chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bullish trend. But if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, as of right now, we have just recently seen a bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD, and the last couple of times this has happened, this has been bearish for the price of Bitcoin, but it's not always a guarantee that we're going to see bearish price action for Bitcoin, because for example, there's the possible outcome that we may end up seeing a lack in momentum to the downside. So not a lot of bearish momentum, kind of like over the last 1 to 2 months, we've seen not a lot of bullish momentum, lacking momentum. So ultimately, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is basically within a larger sideways price range here on the weekly time frame, in between, let's just say, around 90,000 to 110,000 in a massive sideways price range, consolidating sideways. And if we're looking at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence on this Bitcoin chart, as we can see, with higher highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI. So ultimately, this is telling us that we're losing a lot of bullish momentum in the bull market. So in other words, we're slowing down. And of course, over the last 1 to 2 months, we have seen a major slowdown compared to, say, November last year. Of course, we've been lacking momentum to really either direction over the last 1 to 2 months or so. And so just keep that in mind, no matter what happens in the shorter term on the smaller time frames. When we're taking a look at the bigger picture, we've not yet confirmed any reversal out of the bull market, but we are lacking a lot of momentum to either direction. So ultimately, we're currently basically chopping around sideways, and that will likely continue potentially for a number of weeks as a likely scenario, no matter what happens in the short term. But believe it or not, you can make a lot of profit in crypto very easily from choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a look at the shorter term on this 8-hour Bitcoin chart. And over the last 1 day, obviously, we did see that decent bounce towards the upside, but then we started to reject from this area of resistance, which I've talked about recently here on the channel, in between around 98,500 to 99,000. I've been saying for days now, expect a decent amount of resistance around there, around 98.5k to 99k. Once again, I want to make that clear, and that's pretty much exactly where we rejected from over the last 1 day. And so, as I always say, even if we see perhaps a short-term breakout, which I'll talk about in just a moment, we cannot ignore other points of support and resistance where the price can potentially struggle at. And that's exactly what we saw over the last 1 day. But if we could finally see a confirmed breakout back above around 99,000, for example, in that case, we have this area of resistance coming into play in between around 101,000 to 103,000, and also significant resistance in between 106,000 to 107,000. And as for support, if we actually see another pullback here, like what we see previously over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so, then ultimately we have a lot of support in this price range in between around 95,000 to 96,000. As if you were to actually confirm candle closes below around 95,000, in that case, we have this area of support sitting in between around 92,000 to 93,000. But if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, or if you want to get set up ready to go to take the next trading opportunity, personally, I take a lot of my trades right now over on Bitfinex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive rewards that are only available using that link. So if you simply just click that link to make your account and start trading on that account, then you can get up to a $35,000 bonus into your account, which you can actually withdraw for if you're trading a lot of crypto, or there's some other rewards here like a brand new Rolex or an Apple Vision Pro or Apple AirPods, etc., simply just by trading crypto. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And with that being said, taking a look at this Bitcoin chart on the 4-hour time frame, and of course in my last video just yesterday I looked at this same Bitcoin chart on the 2-hour time frame, and we did briefly just see one confirmation signal on the 2-hour time frame with a breakout above this line of resistance, which was sitting at roughly around just underneath around 98,000. But on the 2-hour time frame, obviously we actually broke back below that point, technically invalidating the breakout and invalidating the pattern on the 2-hour chart. But if we're taking a look at the same price pattern pretty much on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we never actually properly confirmed the breakout on the 4-hour chart. So technically speaking, the price can still remain to actually form this pattern, and we've not yet actually seen any confirmed breakout, at least on the 4-hour time frame. And in case you're wondering, this line of resistance is still sitting at just underneath around 98,000. But as I explained earlier, we also have a lot of resistance in between 98,500 to 99,000. So ideally, we need a breakout above 99,000 before expecting potentially a continued relief up towards the next resistance in between 101,000 to 103,000. And in case you're wondering, this line of support for this descending broadening wedge pattern is currently sitting at basically around 94,000. And we also have important points of liquidity now building on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And first of all, we have a lot of liquidity starting to build at around 98.8k, and more liquidity starting to build at pretty much exactly 101,000, and also at around 103,000 and just underneath 103,000. So basically right around this area of resistance in between 101k to 103k, we have a lot of liquidity around there. And of course, as I just mentioned, just underneath 99,000. So basically at those points of resistance, those are the points of liquidity to pay attention to. And as for liquidity to the downside, we do have a lot starting to form at just underneath 94,000, around 93.8k to 93.9k, and more liquidity starting to build at just above 92,000. So basically at around 92,000 to 93,000, give or take, we have a lot of liquidity. So basically around this area of support. But ultimately, if we break out above a point of resistance or below a point of support, that will likely just advance the price towards the next point of support or resistance, but still remain within this larger sideways price range, ultimately chopping around sideways for quite some time. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, a lot of the Bitcoin funding rates are slightly below neutral, because the neutral rate is 0.01% with a couple funding rates in the negative. But in the altcoin market, we're seeing quite a lot of the funding rates actually sitting in the negative and right around zero. And so this basically tells us there's a lot of traders out there interested in shorting the crypto market, especially the altcoins here with the negative funding rates. A lot of traders are willing to pay a premium to actually short these crypto assets. So basically a lot of people are bearish on altcoins right now. So just keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, the price of ETH is basically just within a short-term sideways price range in between this 50% retracement level acting as support at around 2,500 and this Fibonacci level acting as resistance at around 2.8k. So right now we're basically just bouncing around between that support and resistance, at least in the shorter term. And if we can finally see a confirmed breakout back above around 2.8k, in that case we'll likely see a continued relief up towards around 3,000 to 3.1k as the next resistance I'll be watching. And if we actually broke below 2,500 with confirmation, so candle closes below 2,500, then in that case I would expect a lot of support at close to 2.3k based on these previous lows, and also major support based on the golden pocket in between 2,150 to 2.2k. But the price of ETH will likely play out very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing either way. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, Solana is currently forming a potential symmetrical symmetrical triangle pattern, also known as a horizontal triangle pattern, and we're getting very close to possibly breaking below the point of support for this triangle pattern. But at least as of recording this video, we've not yet actually confirmed a break below that point of support. So like I said in my last video, when we we're getting close to a possible breakout above this resistance, I said we need to wait for confirmation. We've not yet confirmed that breakout above resistance, and so we did indeed see yet another rejection from this area of resistance, which, by the way, in case you're new to the channel, this area of resistance I'm talking about is basically in between around $200 to $205, with that major point at 205 acting as resistance. But if we were to finally see a confirmed breakout above 205, in that case, the next important resistance would be starting close to 220. And as for support, we have this ascending line of support sitting at approximately $192. We also have this horizontal line of support right here at pretty much exactly 190. And below those points, we have this area of support down here in between 178 to 183. And if we're measuring out some technical price targets based on this symmetrical triangle pattern, also known as a horizontal triangle pattern, if we see a confirmed breakout above that line of resistance, which is sitting at around $199, but ideally we need to see a breakout above $205 to be more confident in a possible breakout here. In that case, that will set up a short-term price target based on this triangle pattern sitting at around $228. But remember, we cannot ignore points of resistance where the price will likely struggle at along the way. So even if we see that breakout above 199 approximately, expect more resistance closer towards 205 and major resistance in between around 220 to 225. And on the other hand, if we never confirm the breakout above that point of resistance and instead we actually confirm a break to the downside with candle closes below this point of support and especially below 190, in that case, that will set up a short-term bearish price target for the triangle pattern at around $167 to $168. But once again, we cannot ignore points of support. The price will likely bounce at some of these points of support if we first confirm the break to the downside and activate this bearish price target. And as always, when it comes to patterns just like this, if we see a confirmed break of either support or resistance, and then we break to the other side again of that area, so basically if we break out from the triangle pattern and then break back inside the pattern, that would be an invalidation signal to invalidate the pattern and the price target altogether. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the daily time frame, as of right now, the price of XRP is trading right on the top side of this area of resistance, sitting in between around $2.58 to $2.73 approximately. So we've not yet fully seen a lot of confirmation here confirming a breakout above this point of resistance, but we're getting very close, obviously, from potentially confirming a breakout here, especially if we can now hold above this area and actually hold it as support and bounce from this area. Obviously, that would be very bullish price structure, especially if we form some sort of higher low in the process. But at least as of right now, at the time of recording this video, we've not yet fully invalidated this bearish divergence. So keep that in mind. The larger bearish divergence is technically still active for the price of XRP. And speaking of bearish divergences, if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 2-hour XRP chart, we have just now confirmed and basically starting to play out a new bearish divergence on the 2-hour time frame, with new higher highs confirmed in the price and lower highs confirmed in the 2-hour XRP RSI. And so as usual, when it comes to a bearish divergence, this basically tells us that we've lost pretty much all of that previous bullish momentum that we've previously seen, and we're now likely going to see either some choppy sideways price action or potentially a little bit of a pullback over the next 1 or 2 days as a very likely scenario. And usually a bearish divergence just on the 2-hour time frame plays out over, say, a couple of days or so before it starts to lose relevance, because we're only talking about the 2-hour time frame here. And so in other words, this is a bit of a short-term warning signal, something to tell you if you're in a long position, for example, maybe take a small amount of profits off the table. Not financial advice, that's just basically what a bearish divergence means, but it does not necessarily mean we're going to see a major crash. I want to make that clear. It just means we're losing a lot of bullish momentum and we're likely going to see a bit of a slowdown or maybe a slight pullback at some point in the next 1 or 2 days. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the 6-hour time frame, as of right now, at at the time of recording this video, the price of Chainlink is currently rejecting again from this area of resistance, which is sitting in between around $19.50 to $20.50, but really in between around $19.50 to $20. That's the major point of resistance in the short term. As I've been saying over and over again for weeks now on the channel, I've been saying pay attention to that area, and that's exactly where we have rejected from again. And so obviously that is still acting as strong resistance. There's a lot of people interested in selling Chainlink and taking profits or shorting Chainlink essentially from this area on the price chart. And as for support, we still have a lot of support based on previous bounces in the price at pretty much exactly $18. And as I've mentioned recently here on the channel, really in between around $17.70 to $18. That's the major point of support or area of support in the short term that I'll be paying attention to. But if we see a confirmed break well below $18, then in that case, we could likely see a retracement back down closer towards around $15 if we actually confirm a break below that point of support. So obviously right now, we still have a lot of support at around $18. And technically speaking, the larger price structure is currently more bearish than it is bullish as of right now, but the short-term price structure is relatively neutral. If you simply just look at the price of Chainlink in the shorter term here, we're currently just bouncing around sideways between support and resistance, forming a bit of a sideways price range. And so that's basically the story for a lot of the crypto market as of right now, chopping around sideways within a bit of a sideways price range, lacking momentum in the shorter term. But once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways like the prices are right now, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or shorts positions, but the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.